Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of TopoRanger. I am Brett, your loyal host, and we are, as promised, back at Conowingo Falls today on the Susquehanna River in between Falmouth and York Haven. And we are drifting now. I'm actually drifting upriver. Must be some weird eddies or some weird currents going on. River is at 3.3 today, so it's not even really that much lower than it was when we were here a week ago. But since I saw, that everything was pretty low last time, I figured, you know what, I just want to get up here and explore. That's the Lancaster County pothole country right there in between the two power line cuts. And a big piece of diabase lurking. It looks like the water is still pretty much flowing over the whole dam, although it does look like less than it was a week ago. And there are tons of people here today, which is good because I like filming people, with the Panasonic for scale. So let's get started. Let's head up to that island right there. We are here. We have made it to this big rock that has ripple marks on it. And a little pothole right there. We parked the boat right where that red kayak was parked that we saw from over there in the previous episode. That's that big fin right there that we were looking at, I think, which means the big arch is over here somewhere. So let's get started. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over there where that guy was hiding under the tree, and I'm gonna eat my lunch because it's already like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then from there, we're gonna head directly over here and we're gonna find the big arch. Hit subscribe, ring my bell, follow me on all platforms, all right? Conowingo Falls, let's get going. All right, I had my lunch, I'm ready to go. We are on the island here, as you can see. The one I was pointing out, the one I was saying, there's some big rocks up there. And there are, because I've already been scouting around the island a little bit here while I ate my lunch. First thing we're doing is we're going over here to find a big arch. I already spotted a nice, completely bored through the rock pothole over there. This island is mostly just silt and freshwater shells, grass. There's a nice spot right here where you can sit. And, oh, you know what? I just noticed this. See that? That looks like a beaver has been here. See this? Yeah. Huh. I didn't realize there were beaver up here in the falls. But yeah, you can sit here and you can see it's just made up of tons of small little cobbles. That's sandy stuff. But up here, I found some of the big rocks that I had seen on the maps there. This is like a helicopter landing pad. But look at the size of this one here. This has got to be a 100-tonner. You have these, which I believe are basically iron-consuming bacteria. They live in these pools. And over time, I think they actually eat into the actual diabase itself. Although I don't know that for sure. That's just one of my pet theories. I don't see any evidence of any scouring, any potholes or fluting, asymmetrical ripple marks. But let's stick to the plan. I'm gonna go right over in this area here and we're gonna find the big arch. I was thinking about it, and I know it's true that when you use like a telephoto lens, or in this case with the Panasonic, we're zooming in and it kind of flattens everything, makes things look, I think, taller than they actually are. So I said 6 to 10. I'm thinking 6 on the big side. Let's go find it. Oh, hey, guys, check this out. Oh, wow. We got a big flat piece of the diabase here, but look at the way this has been eroded out. So you have these, basically the like scallops or the nascent potholes. But look at the flow pattern here. You see that? Here, maybe it'd look better this way. I've never seen anything like this up here. This is a first. So you actually have a little pothole, but then it's joined by these flow channels. See? It's all squiggly. These flow channels are discussed in that article, and what he said was that this kind of stuff forms on the bottom when there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. More here. Look how crazy these are. So swirl, channel, swirl, channel, right, with the elevated middle part. You see that at the bottom of potholes, where you have a basically like a moat around a little hump in the middle, and then pothole comes up like this. That's what that is, except it's not at the bottom of the pothole. One aspect of the mega floods would have been how deep the water got. And like I said, with those flow channels, you got to have a lot of pressure. And that's really the one standout element of this story, which never fails to amaze me. And that's that as the mega flood came down here and hit this narrowing caused by the diabase, right, like we talked about in the last episode, it goes from nearly a mile down to a half a mile, and we're standing right in the middle of that half mile right here. Based upon the calculations dealing with those 100-tonners, the rocks that weigh in excess of 100 tons, the author of that article calculated that the water here, as it hit the constriction, would have raised up, would have been 100 feet deep. So where I'm standing right now, I would be at the bottom of a 100-foot column of water. Then you look at those channels over there and you're like, aha, now you understand how that stuff can be created, how all this stuff can be created. Because you have water that's just filled with sand, sediment, rocks, boulders, cobbles. It's coming down here incredibly fast, much faster than any modern flood. Just for the record, I did do an episode several years ago where I was down where those people were. I came up this channel, I parked, I went up to the dam where the dam meets the head race, and I was checking out a boat. There was a 20-foot power boat that had come over during the flood, probably during Ida. Came over and it was trapped basically out there. So I did an episode about that. But during that episode, I didn't come this way. So this is all new to me. I'll put a link up to that episode now. It's a two-parter. It's a good one. So here we stand, and the big arch has got to be in either that or this, because we were over there looking over here. It was in between this flow and this flow, so it's got to be right here. Look at this, nicely formed. I mean, just look at the shape, the way this thing is just so fluid in its lines. Look at the curve here. See that? There it is, right there. I see it. Now I have my survey tape, so we're going to be able to say with 100% accuracy how big this thing is. Here's a nice example of when you get relatively clean water and nice cobbles remaining in a pothole. It looks like that. And this one is right on the edge here. This was something I noticed last time I was over there filming. I'm gonna see if I can get it without dropping the camera. See this right here? Follow my finger right there. till it's like a channel. You could call that fluting. There's something called helical fluting, which is spiral fluting that you will see inside the potholes, but it looks a lot like that. So this might be fluting that was inside of a pothole, you know, a really long time ago, but slowly been weathered out. The big one here looks essentially like it's a big pothole in here, and it's just been the wall has been breached. I want to know how deep that is. Let's stick one of those sticks down in there. A little cooler down in here. I'd say the way it is now, it's about 5 or 6 feet. And we're basically inside of just a ginormous pothole. Okay, so how long is this stick? I'd say this stick is about 6 feet total. Okay, so we're gonna get as low as we can, and we're gonna sink this sucker down in there. And sorry for the bad camera work. Oh, I'm hitting gravel at about 5 feet of depth. Right there. There. Let's see here. Yep, same there. So, but yeah, yep, that's 5 feet too. But the gravel is not, it's somewhat loose. Oh jeez. Yeah, I mean it goes down in there. I can sink this in a good 3-4 inches into the gravel, and obviously it goes that way and gets deeper. Let's try something here. Let's drop this 6-foot stick into the water right here and see what happens. Oh, no, it stopped. It stopped with about 6 inches. So right now, 5 feet, 6 feet, right around here. We got 3 kayakers. It's like they're fishing. There's that couple over there that was on the dam. And there's a woman over here fishing. I don't see anybody out on the rocks right now though. There is a guy way up there by 3 Mile Island. The author of that article estimated that the water would have had to have been 100 feet deep and moving at about 32 feet per second in order to have the muscle to move and flip over boulders up to 100 tons. 32 feet per second. Now 32 feet per second may not really mean much to you. Let's put it in perspective. 1972, Agnes. I talk about that flood a lot. At the peak of Agnes, when the water was the highest and moving the fastest, they measured the water speed up there in Harrisburg at 8 feet per second. The water that moved through here and created stuff like this was moving at 32 feet per second and was 100 feet deep. That is a true mega flood. And the York Haven power plant there would have been underwater. 100 feet is about to the top of that roof. Now I took a photo of the York Haven power station from the Falmouth boat launch, and then I measured the railing over there on the catwalk, right? And then on that picture, I then extrapolated that up. And basically what I came up with is that the mega flood would have completely submerged the York Haven power station, because the top of that roof on that big red building down there is approximately 100 feet. It really does boggle the mind. And then when you turn around and you look at this, you're like, ah, okay, it's starting to make sense now. It's really starting to make sense. Then you start to understand that none of this was created by the river as we see it today. None of this was created even by a flood like Agnes. Wasn't enough sediment, wasn't enough grit and boulders and cobble in the water. Water wasn't deep enough, water wasn't moving nearly fast enough. So the Susquehannock legend goes that if you walk over the bridge here and you don't fall in, it's good luck. So I gotta do this. There we go. So this is all 4, 5, 5, and then boom, out to 6. About 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall. So the arch itself is actually 10 feet high. It looks like a wave. The inside really does look like a wave, which perhaps is an ode to its creation. Here we have another clear water with cobbles situation. And you do see these periodically throughout the falls. There's not a lot of them. A lot of them are filled with gunk, or they just don't look like this. But this is the largest and best looking one I've come across so far, in terms of the water being clear and just the rocks and the forms. Let's see if we can get over to this hunk of Swiss cheese right here and check that out. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. Hey! And we found another one. The water in this one is not quite as clear, but the gravel is looking good. And it also has a natural bridge and spiders too. See that? Another first. So far this side has really proven to be quite interesting. That's the other big fin we were looking at right there. We can probably get to that one too. All right, so we're gonna go right here. There. Let's see if we can do it.